You're looking at Alex Pereira in slow-mo right now, and I know exactly what you're thinking. How does he develop so much power with such little movement? He's the closest thing we have to a real-life Saitama from One Punch Man, knocking out a lot of his opponents which seemingly with very little contact when he hits them. And how does he develop so much power? Definitely wasn't 100 push-ups, sit-ups, squats, and a 10-kilometer run every day. Some people say it's genetics, some say it's technique. And there may be some who even think that there's some kind of like ancient internal power that he's using. Maybe he's summoning the gods from his temple of Poatan. And that's what we're going to look at today. We're going to look to see if there's some other kind of feature that we haven't looked at, that we might have missed when looking at somebody who can knock people out with just one punch. And stick with me to the end, and I'll show you 3 power drills that you can use and incorporate in your training and develop, hopefully, some Alex Pereira style power. And trust me, you won't need his genetics to apply this kind of training. Alex Pereira was a glory kickboxing champion, transitioned to MMA, and became the middleweight UFC champion, and now is a 2-time light heavyweight champion. And his power has mesmerized people, being able to use that left hook. And what makes him special isn't so much that he knocks people out, it's more how he does it. There's no telegraph, meaning he doesn't give away his shot, he just throws it from where he is. There's something about his positioning, his structure that allows him to achieve this. And today we're going to look on how we can achieve it as well. He looks so calm and casual, so stoic in his actions. Another reason why I call him the Saitama of MMA.
Chama.
And within that relaxed state, he's able to just land that shot that catches everybody. Analysts have even confirmed and agreed that it's one of the best left hooks in MMA and kickboxing. And that relaxed state, that's part of his secret. His ability to go from relaxed to explosive in that moment, that allows him to generate that power. One of 2 reasons. 1, there's no tension. He's not tense, so his punches won't be slowed down or his strikes. And 2, it also allows him to be non-telegraphic. It's hard to read him when he's so relaxed, you don't know when he's going to explode into that punch. Structure is a big part of it. He is very aligned when he's ready to throw his punch. He doesn't just throw it out of nowhere. He may throw, just like any other combat sports athlete, certain strikes to set people up. But when he's ready to load up on that strike, he's in a position that he can coil. In this case, his hand will be low. And because it's in this position, and it's been shown in many other features and videos, that this allows him to coil that hook up. So he's almost throwing it up when he lands that left hook. And I see this borrowed from the hoisting method of internal power. So what is internal power? You'll find these concepts in ancient martial arts from the Chinese and Japanese martial art theories on how to generate power from short distance. You've probably seen Bruce Lee's 1-inch punch. It has similarities to that. But you can even look at it from a grappling perspective, judo, or any other kind of art that requires redirecting people's energy, like push hands from the Tai Chi and stuff like that. They know how to generate this short power, this internal power. And there's a concept that they labeled it as lifting if you translate it. But I had a friend who trains in this specifically. He had a hard time explaining, because English wasn't his first language, how to lift somebody or lift their power. When they talk about lifting, I realized he was talking about hoisting. So use this analogy. You know when you have something heavy, like a heavy load of laundry, and you want to put it up on a higher surface, you do this kind of movement where you hoist it up. That is generally what they're doing as well when they're using these type of techniques for internal power generation. And if you think about it, it's not much different from when Alex Pereira will throw certain punches, especially his rear punch where he'll drop his weight. It's almost like a coiling effect. There's this lift into the punch where he's generating power all the way through, but he makes sure that his body's aligned and structured to land that punch. But it's relaxed and there's a finish at the end, a snap at the end, which pretty much any combat sports does. Like boxing, you'll see Deontay Wilder, another one-punch knockout artist. And if you look at him carefully, he kind of follows that same principle as well, whether intentional or not. And that can be applied to the left hook. Now let's go back. I mentioned that his position is here. So this allows him to get that power. He's coiled up already. It's close to his center of his body. Now this isn't recommended for all fighters. Typically, we want to keep our hands up when we're punching, but Alex Pereira, he's special and this is his go-to weapon. So he'll have his hand down here. He's typically upright, a fairly wide stance. And then when he's ready, he coils, or it's already coiled, and he'll land that left hook. But he's also transferring his weight in the most efficient and quickest way possible. So he's just generating all that force, hoisting his energy to land that punch. So taking a look at that left hook, you want to imagine you're pushing through the floor and everything is being generated into your body. If we do it the Alex Pereira way, he's doing it from here, arm low, and from there, short power, follow through. Now, how can we modify it for us? We can still do the same principle with our hands up. Now, we probably won't get as much power as he does, even though we're here. But as long as we're structured like he is, our body's aligned, we're in the right position, weight distributed nicely, we can still apply it. Here's a little trick, a little hack if you want to generate power. Now, it may risk being telegraphic, but you could set it up as a feint. So what we could do to modify that coil that Alex Pereira does without dropping our hand too low if you want to stay protected, we can borrow a little bit from what we see like Mike Tyson do, where he will slip. So he slips. By slipping to my left in this case, I'm already coiled. And from here, I can release that hook. So I can slip, but I sell it. I want to sell that slip. And then from here, I can land that hook. Finish the same way that Alex Pereira would. Now, he doesn't typically over pivot. Usually, we're taught to pivot your foot to generate that power and follow through. Pereira kind of avoids that, but that's because he's relying on non-telegraphic movement, that coiling principle, and just focusing on the weight transfer from left to right. So in this case, my left hook, my weight's transferring to the right. So I can generate power by coiling, either by having this coil here like Pereira does, and I just drop my weight to the right, or you can slip and coil with your actual position. Think of it like a spring from here, boom, and then I land my power left hook from there. So the left hook isn't wide, it's short, and it's compact. And we're driving the force from the ground up into our core, into our arm and fist, the follow through. Think of it as not punching with your arms, you're literally punching with your core and your body. So you want this movement to happen more than anything else. This just happens to be the extension. You can apply that same principle for any other strike as well. So again, let's revisit the idea of being relaxed. We see it in all forms of combat sports. It's recommended to do in boxing. You want to have loose, relaxed shoulders. If you want snappier punches, same thing with your kicks. If you're too tense, your kick will be slow. But if you're relaxed, your kick will come out a little faster and quicker, which equals more power. By the way, you ever seen those punching machines that measure your punching power? That is the trick. It's about speed. It reads speed. So if you want to look more impressive when you're hitting those punching machines, hit it as fast as you can. Not necessarily as hard as you can. Hit as fast as you can, get some follow through, just like you would with Alex Pereira's type punching, and you probably get your best numbers on that. If that is true and it worked for you, please let me know in the comments. So by being relaxed in your movement or in even your energy, it allows you to save energy, and then you can store that energy into your power punches. And while relaxed, you really only follow through with power at the end of your punch. Think of it like a whip. You're whipping it. A whip is relaxed until it's tense at the end. You want to apply the same technique or same principle when you're punching. So you want to hoist, but you want to be relaxed before you do that movement. So relax, and then when you're ready, you imagine that coil and hoist, and then you finish and follow through with that punch. The follow through is very important. Always imagine you're punching through your target. That's basic power punching 101. No matter what art you're on, they will tell you the same thing. As I mentioned before, I see this from this ancient internal martial arts or power generation that they've had. Does Alex Pereira really practice this? Probably not, at least not intentionally. But does he have the biomechanics and the same principles in the way he does it? Absolutely. You can see the same principles applied to the way he strikes. Pair that with all the knowledge that we've learned from all the interviews that we've seen and all the footage that we've seen on how he does it, I believe you would see the same thing. Now, granted, his genetics probably do play a big role. His size, his length, his reach help him a lot. But doesn't mean we can't borrow the same principles. We won't necessarily be knocking out people exactly like Alex Pereira does. But again, if we follow the basic principles, we'd be able to improve our punching power. So as promised, here are a couple of drills that you can practice to get you accustomed to this internal power generation, coupled with basic proper techniques for throwing the punches. So the first thing you want to do, you want to adopt a nice solid stance, solid base. So you want to get into your fighting position. Now everyone might be different. I personally like something somewhat shoulder width apart with my feet and my legs, but I want to stay grounded. Every good power puncher is grounded when they punch. They're rooted to the ground. You want to feel that. So the goal is just to feel this sensation. You want to just drop. So you're going to get used to dropping your weight a little bit. A very short drop. So imagine you're doing like a squat or a lunge, so to speak, but very short. So all you're going to do is drop short and stop yourself. So you're going to drop and stop, and kind of once you get that feeling where you're kind of bouncing, you want to come up smooth but relatively quick. So I'm going to drop and then come up relatively quick. I don't know if you could see that, but I'm going down. I'll do it in slow motion, and then I come up pretty quick, but I'm always keeping a slight bend in my knees at all time. This way, I have the ability to coil my whole body, because that's the next part. I want to be able to coil my movements. So drop and come up. Get used to this. You should actually feel some tension in your legs if you're not used to this. Your calves will start working hard, and that actually adds to the movement and power generation because you're going to be springing from everything from the ground up. Now that we got that, we want to be able to weight transfer. So I like to switch left to right. We're not going to throw any punches. You're just going to shift. Now, when you get used to the shifting, notice it's the same movement that I would use if I was to be defensive as well. It's the same position I would slip as well. So if I'm slipping punches, it's the same thing, but I'm focusing on the weight transfer in the hips. I don't need to over pivot when we're doing this because we're trying to generate short power with minimal movement. What you really want to do is be able to do it from short bursts. Notice my knees are always bent slightly, and I shift from left to right, keeping my hands up, protecting myself all times, because eventually I'm going to throw my punch from that position. Then you can put those two together. You can drop, shift, right? We did the dropping movement we did earlier. Drop, shift. But notice I drop, shift, but if you're really following the same thing that we did before, remember I told you we would drop and lift a little bit? Apply that hoisting method that I was talking about earlier. So I drop, hoist, but I'm also shifting at the same time. So you're trying to do these three things in one smooth motion. So drop, shift. For the moment, I don't alternate. I like to just stick to one side, then I switch. So I'll do maybe 10 reps on one side, 10 the other. So I'll drop, shift, and then I'll do it the other side. Drop, shift, drop, shift. That little hoist happens in a fraction of a second, so you barely see it. It doesn't really happen visibly, but that's what you want, because then it will be non-telegraphic when you actually throw the punch. Now, the last drill before we actually apply it into punching, we want to gain some kind of connectivity. We want to feel it in our body. We want to feel in our core that we're generating that power. So we want the sensation of that internal power. We want to feel it here, not just in our legs, because we want to be able to connect it all together. And if we can hit them with our body, then you're going to basically follow through with your body weight of your punch. So what we're going to do is we just want that connection. For the sake of the drill, I'll show you how we do it. We're going to stick to either a right cross or a left/lead hook. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my fighting position, and I'm using a punching bag for the sake of the drill. You could use the wall. You don't even need the bag for this drill, but you could use the wall. Your goal is to push against the wall as if you extended your punch. You don't want to lean forward. You want to push at where your maximum of your, in this case, right cross would be, or rear cross. I keep my hand up for functionality. I want to keep myself in a defensive position as well. And I'm imagining I'm pulling the bag down with my hand, but with my body too. The sensation you should feel is similar to if you go to the gym and you do tricep press downs, and you know how you feel your abs working when you're doing it too, even though you're supposed to be isolating your triceps. It's the same motion. It's the same thing. You want to be grounded. Notice my feet are planted. My hand is out, extended here, and I want to drop. And imagine I'm dropping the bag down, but with my core. Mind's eye is in your core. And I drop down, I hold, 3, 2, 1, relax. The relax is important, because remember, relaxation is key in being non-telegraphic and being snappy with your punch at the end. So relaxed, but now tense by pressing or pulling down the bag without sliding your hand. You keep it in position. Tense, you'll feel it. You should feel in your core. You should feel in your legs. Relax. Do this for about 6 reps. Then, if you want to work your lead hook side to do the same thing, it's the same principle. I'm going to position it as if I finished my lead hook. My weight is already transferred to my right. In this case, my knee is slightly bent. And I'm doing the same thing. I imagine I'm pulling it down. I'm not pushing the bag. I'm pulling the bag down. I'll stand here so you can probably get a better look. I imagine I'm pulling it down. I keep that elbow up for a proper left hook finish. I'm going to use my palm, not my fist in this case, because I want to get a good grip and feel the bag. And same thing. 3, 2, 1, relax. Do the same thing. Drop. 3, 2, 1, relax. 3, 2, 1, relax. Again, do about 6 reps. 6 reps is the magic number for this drill. Now, once you have that, you can apply that into your shadow fighting with what we just did. So we put it all together. So we're going to drop, shift, finish. Drop, shift, finish. Drop, shift, finish. So again, slow, drop, shift, because I want to load and coil and finish. But when I finish, I imagine that connection that I did for that finish. I want to drop my power into my core so that imagine that I'm hitting my opponent with my entire body, the source of everything. That's how essentially the internal martial arts work. Now, this is a lot to think about, but with practice, you can apply it and use it for your punching power. So you practice that. Once you get good at it, then you test it out. See if you land that power in that short period of time or the short moment of time. So you want minimal movement, little telegraph, and make sure you're relaxed and you do the drop, shift, and with the coil and the finish. Remember that connectivity that you have with the bag that you did, the exercise you did earlier. Same thing with the rear. So you do, yep, I'm working here. Now I'm just focusing on precision right now. I'm not focusing on the power. I'm focusing on the precision of the punch. I'm aiming for a specific spot and I'm working on that coiling, that hoisting movement for dropping my power. When that's good, I have felt that I've adopted all those little drills and those movements with repetition. Then I can test out with full power and really drop my weight with the short power I can extend, played with the distance, see if I can do the same thing from here, and see if you can land that short power using those three principles: the drop, the shift, coil, and finish. So test that out, see if that works for you. If it does, let me know in the comments. It's not about magic, it's literally about biomechanics, timing, precision, and structure. Having the right structure and being relaxed. If you're relaxed, you're not giving away what you're throwing, you'll be more snappy, and then you can go from 0 to 100 into your power punching. So if you haven't yet, please hit that like button and drop a comment on the next fighter you'd like me to cover and break down. And for more future breakdowns, please don't forget, subscribe and you get to follow along, and we will cover your favorite fighters or favorite techniques. So until next time, stay strong, train smart, and thanks for watching.